And welcome everybody to my channel. This is another one of those videos where I'm wearing my hat, and that can only mean one of two things, or maybe even both. Either I'm having a bad hair day, or I'm going to be cooking. So in actual fact, this time it's both of them. So we'll be doing something interesting, but before we get started, for those of you that are new to my channel, you may have noticed that I mix motorcycles with cooking and sightseeing and aircraft. So whatever is entertaining and whatever comes to the show or to the party in such a time as this, where confusion reigns, chaos, to say the least. So in this case, I'm having to put something together, and as the channel goes, particularly with the cooking, as the cooking goes, I make use of everything that I have in the house and put it together to make a meal. In this case, I had to actually get one or two items, such as the coriander. I didn't have parsley or coriander. I think we need to start planting some. If the wars in the world continue, it's possible that we might plant tomatoes and even have some live chickens in the house. Anyway, back to less serious things and to the topic. This is what we're dealing with here today, and these are the ingredients, believe it or not. I'm going to make a rice. Now, when meat is scarce, you use what you have, and the chances are that you are going to be having Viennas in the house. So that is your protein, believe it or not. I'm lucky. I also have a chorizo that I got myself at an Italian shop. I'm gonna have to give that a clean. It doesn't look too kosher, and I'm gonna cut it into slices and possibly cut that much, say a third or even a half of that amount of chorizo to make the rice. The rama is already cut and put into the pot, almost melted. I'm going to turn the temperatures up a little bit. I don't have a gas stove, I have an electric stove. But yeah, this is what's going to take place. So I'll be editing the video here and there so that you can see what goes into the pot first. And of course, I still have to clean the rice, which I haven't done. So we'll see you in a moment. So any rice works. I'm fortunate I have the basmati, which is a little bit more expensive, unfortunately, but yeah, I recommend that you use this rice at all times, but any rice will do as long as there's olive oil. And I'm going to throw in garlic. You don't need to throw the garlic, but olive oil, a pinch of olive oil always makes a huge difference. But most importantly, this is the priority fat that goes into the mix, cooking rama. So there we go. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now I'm going to wash 2 cups of this, possibly make the entire bag. This is half of a bag of rice. I think it's half a kilo, so I'm going to make 250 grams and show you the rest of the procedure. Everything's been chopped up. There are 5 Viennas there and a whole tomato. It's not too much. You don't have to do the tomato. You can do tomato or carrot, but this is very important, to have the chopped onions. There's my favorite. You all know that. That's my favorite. And finally, and waiting to be grated, my carrot. I'll be grating that in a moment and adding that once the pot is nice and hot. So we'll continue right now with the rest of the exercise so you can see what it all looks like. Right, I've actually cut it into halves. I think I used a little bit more than half of that chorizo, and that is because I think protein is important. There's no war here in South Africa, so apart from the floods, which is very unfortunate in Natal, we've had some hectic floods there. 300 dead, to say the least. This is the world we're in at the moment. But anyway, let's continue on a hype note. Let's continue doing what you are actually here for. So I'm going to be throwing the onions in. There they are. That goes all of it in there. The heat is on low. Okay, that's gone in. As you see, the butter's almost disappeared. And this is where the olive oil comes in to assist in lubricating this pot so that we can have a better experience going through the motions whilst cooking. So, a dash of olive oil. I would say that's it. Not too much, really just a dash. There we go. This should facilitate the entire. There we go. So we're braising the onions, and while that gets going, you can see the sausages are all there. The tomatoes go in later. I have to get a bay leaf from the fridge, which I've neglected to take out. Bay leaves always go in rice. Whether you're doing white rice, there we go. Small leaf of bay leaves. Could even put a little bit more than that. It's very, very small, and they're kind of broken up. So I'm going to put another small piece, and there we go. And of course, salt. Another pinch of salt. There's nothing worse than forgetting to put an item or another. There we go. A little bit of salt, a pinch, perhaps a little bit more, because I am going to be making a lot of rice. So, okay, so a pinch and a half of salt. That should do it. Now I'm going to clean the rice and come back to stir this up and show you the rest of the procedure. Now another important item, which you don't have to put, it's garlic. 4 or 5 cloves cut in half. I'm just going to chuck them in there. I'm Portuguese, so you'll allow me. We put garlic on ice cream, okay? So yeah, let's get the rice going. I've been promising to do the rice, so let's get back to that. It's starting to smell very, very good, and like I said, I've used low heat, and they're not quite ready to receive the tomatoes. But you know what? This is not. We're not in a 5-star hotel. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to have the right ingredients. And there we go. So the tomatoes are chopped and thrown in, and the rice is clean. There it is, ready to be thrown in. And the coriander will go in later, because coriander just tends to disappear. So we're going to be throwing the rice in, and the chorizo will go in as soon as in fact, I'm going to throw the chorizo now, because the chorizo it just has this wonderful taste and aroma to it. Try and do this with one hand and film at the same time. Not an easy task, so I'm just going to let that slide through there. And the coriander is going to wait. 1 or 2 pieces might slip in. So there it is. The chorizo is in, and it's lost some of its heat, but that's okay. That'll give me time to gather myself and put the rice in. So remember, when you do chorizo, I threw 2 pinches of salt because I'm going to add a lot of rice here. But with chorizo, you don't need to add too much salt. It's like bacon. It's a very salty substance. Nutrient. So there we go. We have the coriander, the sausages. Those are going later because they're pre-cooked, as you all know. And the rice goes when this is nice and hot. So let's just go and grate that carrot and complete the exercise. Now, as you see, not much. It's not very humid inside there, so I'm just going to throw in a little bit more olive oil, just to ensure that things are running smooth. Here we go. Turn the temperature slightly up so we can get going, yeah? And the rice can be ready by the time the family arrives. This should serve a family of 4, hence the 5 Viennas. So that's pretty much 1 each, and a little 1 1/10, 1 and a. If my maths is correct, 1 and something. 1 and a. Okay, so all right, and as that goes, the next is the carrot. It's already grated. I want to throw that in there. I'm going to pause because I don't have hands for this. So we'll see you in a moment. Okay, the carrots have been thrown in, and as the humidity starts disappearing, because that's what cooking does, and temperatures, instead of throwing more olive oil this time, I'm going to be throwing a little bit of water, because rice is cooked in water. So let's go fetch that and start throwing in. That needs to be opened up. For some reason it's got a blockage. Okay, put a bit of water there just to cool things down a bit. Continue cooking process, and just before you throw the rest of the ingredients, which include the coriander and the rice. Normally I throw the rice in to fry it a little bit before cooking, boiling the rice. Like I say, having to hold the camera and show you all this at the same time, not an easy task. Okay, so there we go, that's all starting to come together. The rice is going to go in. There we go. Might have to go rinse that a little and get the rest of the rice out of there. And voila, managed to get all the rice in. Now we just stir it all up and ensure that the ingredients are all nice and intermingled, just like that, all mixed up nicely. And as the water starts boiling, please remember, sausages are pre-cooked, but exposed to the air like that, not a good idea. So just throw that in. They're going to be cooked nicely, and you just keep adding water as you go along. Those are still there. The coriander gets done later because, like I say, it literally disappears. But right now I'm just trying to put it all into a position where it can get heated evenly and cook evenly without grains being stuck to the top of the pot. You want to make sure you cook everything. You want to make sufficient food, not just because you want to feed the family, but somebody might pitch up and smell what you're doing and want to taste. Happens all the time. Right, a little bit more water. And now this process of adding water is a slow process, but rather that it is on high temperatures at the moment, and as you see, it's cooking nicely, and we're almost done. So then it's just a question of waiting for it. You don't mix rice when it's cooking, because you could destroy the whole thing and end up with porridge instead of rice. So now it's almost time. In fact, I'm going to turn it down to 4 from a 6. Add a little bit more water. Calm this down a bit. And if you haven't cooked rice before, you should know the amounts of water to throw in. That is obvious. So this is it. I'm going to end here and perhaps add a little bit more water here and there. Put the lid in, close it, cook it. And just before the end, about 10 minutes before the end, the coriander goes in and I give it one more mix. In fact, you know what? There we go. Throw the coriander. Let's make it easy. Ideally, I would prefer to wait 10 minutes before, but you know what? Rice goes quickly. This is basmati. It's not your normal rice. It takes a little bit longer. This goes quite quick. So as you see, it's already disappearing, but it just adds that little bit of spice and flavor to, and texture and color, of course, to the rice. And one last thing I'd like to mention is the carrot story and tomato is a choice of mine. You can do either one or the other, or you can do them both. In my case, I'm trying to get as much nutrients and flavor as I can possibly get into here, and this will only work out. So yeah, I will show you the end result, so I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so it's been about 10-15 minutes. We come here and take a look. I've added a little bit more water. This is a time where you can maybe just give it a turn, see what's going on, taste it, maybe see how far it's gone, how far it needs to go. I'm going to give it a little taste. So yeah, it's almost done. I might add a little bit more water just to, and I'm glad I didn't throw too much salt, but I did throw enough to complete the whole thing. It's going to need to simmer as well, so I'm just going to throw a little bit more water, let it go for another 5 or 10 minutes, and the simmering process will take care of all the juices being absorbed into the rice, all the flavors and the tanginess of the whole thing. So let's add some water and show you the final result. And voila, a steaming, tasty, I was going to call this a poor man's rice, but you know what? This day and age, this is actually a rich man's rice. With all this going for it, color, texture, taste, nutrients, vitamins, it's got protein. Rice, okay, rice is a carbohydrate, but it's one of those carbohydrates that are very welcome, particularly if it's a good rice like this one. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming over to my channel and for watching this to the end. You'd have to so you could see the results anyway. You can't smell it, you can't taste it, but you can go and follow these instructions and you go taste it for yourself. The slower you do it and the more focused you are at doing this, the better it will come. This is indeed a fantastic rice. The chorizo's there. Right over there you can see there's chorizo, there's sausages. The coriander is something that I opted to because I love coriander. You could have just put parsley. Parsley will do. Sometimes I put both. You know what? It depends how you wake up. So yeah, as long as you cook and you don't waste time on some takeaways that don't necessarily bring you the nutrients that your body needs. I can guarantee there's far more nutrients here than many of the takeaways you get out there. And what did this cost? I don't know, 50 bucks, maybe? Okay, let's add another 10% there. 55 Rand for this, plus lights. Okay, 65 Rand. Okay, plus water, utensils, time factor, 75 Rand. Right, 70 bucks, 72 Rand. I'll give you 2 Rand off to get this done, and I have no doubt this will fill you up and it will give you the nutrients that you need. Thank you everybody for coming on board. If you guys want to name this rice, it's up to you. I'm definitely not going to call it the poor man's rice, especially if it's got chorizo.